Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Moroccan film I watched. Specifically, I chose to watch Adam. So that was the title of the film. And just a quick summary of the main story or plot. Um, in the movie, Adam, we have Samia, and Samia is a pregnant young girl. Um, Let me just look at the. Sorry, I just want to look at the other characters. I know there was Samia. Just I want to remember the names. But Samia is a young woman who is pregnant, and from the movie we assume that it wasn't a pregnancy that came from marriage. It was a pregnancy that came from, I'm trying to find the right vocabulary, like a relationship. It was an affair, right? It was out of wedlock, and we're assumed from the background that she was probably kicked out by her parents because of the shame that it brought to their family where they live in the village in Morocco. So she's in a bigger city in the movie, I'm assuming probably Casablanca, and she's forced to just like find work and attempt to make a living out of herself. And her parents sort of just kicked her out and told her to find her way in the world because she dishonored them so much with this pregnancy out of wedlock. So Samia's walking around and she's looking for work and she's not really finding much that she can do. Eventually, she stumbles upon a widow named Ebla with her kid named Warda, and she lives with them, and they grow to understand each other. Samia sort of helps Ebla, and Ebla also helps Samia, each other with their own issues, and they come to realize that they can there is another way that they can live their lives. It doesn't have to be whatever they decided, whatever what is set in stone. Their destinies change because of each other, and that's very beautiful. So, yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like the main part of the, I would say the main plot of the movie is that we have these two characters crossing with each other and really changing the direction of their lives. The main characters, there's Ebla, there's Samia, there's Werda, obviously. There's also the guy named, his name is, I want to say his name is Rakia. That's what it says. Or sorry, Slimani. Slimani. That's the guy. Um, Honestly, those four characters, that's kind of it. So Ebla, Samia, Werda, Slimani. Other than that, there's nothing really else. There's no other main characters. But like, sorry, yeah, those are the main characters. I would say. What roles do they play in the story? We have Werda. Werda represents like this sort of new Moroccan generation. Um, okay, hold on. Sorry, something WhatsApp just popped up on my screen. Sorry. So Werda represents this new sort of Moroccan generation that we're seeing where they are not shackled towards tradition as the older generation is, not to the same extent. And I see this because the way Werda interacts with Samia, she's not really like, judgmental. She's very understanding. This could also be the fact that she's a kid, but I want to say that this sort of represents like the newer generation, that they're sort of more understanding, more innocent, more open, more loving and caring. So this newer generation, they're not as judgmental and harsh with Samia. Samia represents everything that is kind of taboo in society. Pregnancy out of wedlock is one of the worst things you can do ever in a society, and it's sort of just like a suicide to the society that you're living in, like to your reputation. It's a suicide to your reputation. And she represents like the woman or the people, specifically the women that have gone through that measure. She's facing prejudice. She's facing her reputation falling off, people talking about her. She's facing negativity. Like everywhere she goes, mostly. Like they see that she's pregnant on the streets. They assume that she's a prostitute, got knocked up in the streets. It's just very tough for her to make a living. It's very tough for a woman in general, a single woman that has no career, to really live in an Arab country. It's even worse when they're pregnant and they can't really get married, because no man in that society wants to get married to someone who's already pregnant by another man. So it's a lot of the, she's representing the so I'm trying to think of the word that I just said. Representing the taboo, representing that she is the sort of lowest of the lowest in society, and she needs to crawl her way back up and find her place within Morocco. Ebla, she represents sort of the old kind of generation. Like she was initially very harsh with Samia, but over time she warms up. She holds on to old things, she holds on to old memories. She doesn't like breaking out and exploring new things, and initially she sticks to what she's comfortable with, but Samia sort of helps open up to her. So we see that evolution over time, that she becomes accustomed and she becomes open to new things and accepting Samia. So I would say Ebla kind of represents that older generation that we were talking about, judgmental, harsh, very cutthroat, live by the book, just follow whatever was kind of made before. So I would say that's kind of the role she plays. And then Slimani is kind of the love interest for Ebla. He's just sort of like a friendly figure, a warm presence. Sort of, I guess, like this is a movie mostly about women. So I guess like the male character, the only male character, he doesn't really need to have a lot of development, because we're really only focused on the woman in the story. So he's just kind of just like a standard nice person. Themes and messages. What are the main themes in the movie? So I would say the main themes, for sure, it has to, one of them for sure is the struggle between the individual and society. We see this mostly with Samia, because she is trying to find her place within the society that she lives in, but the society is so harsh on her because of the sins, or sorry, because of her actions. And the society views these as sins. Obviously, the society does not forgive easily. So it's very hard for her to navigate in a society where strict taboo. She violated the taboo. And again, that's just kind of a reminder for everyone, for every society, is that when you violate the taboo in the society, you will be sort of not punished, but you will be recognized that you violated the norms. America's a lot more different. The norms are different, so it's a lot harder for someone to really violate a taboo. I would say a taboo in this society is not really out of like getting pregnant out of wedlock. It could be something like, crimes. Crimes are taboos that you don't cross, and you get ostracized within that society. A crime, I would say, is more extreme than getting pregnant out of wedlock, because that's literally causing harm. So different societies have different extents of what you can violate and what you can't violate. It depends on the society that you live in, and especially in Morocco, a country that is Islamic mostly, and the society is constructed on Islamic fundamental principles. It's a lot harder for someone to really adjust to the society that they're in if they violate something that's seen as really, really bad in that society. So it's all about the individual and the society, and how that individual attempts to navigate within that society. Another theme I would also say is navigating loss. So this takes on, I think, different forms. Most apparently with most apparently with Ebla, she is trying to navigate the loss of her husband, and we see that she doesn't even want to hear the music that she used to play with him. She doesn't even want to remember that. But grief is important. The grieving process must occur. We must remember the ones that we lost. We must remember the memories that we shared. We must move this grief towards something healthier, not just burying it down deep and forgetting about it and attempting to never tell anyone or never show anyone. We should talk about it comfortably. We should do things that help our inside. We need to get the grief out there. So it's very apparent that we see with Ebla realizing this with the music and the memories and the thinking and the looking in the mirror part of the movie and talking with Samia. Another form I think this theme takes on is with Samia herself as well. Samia was left by her family. She was left by her whoever lover was supposed to take care of her. She is stranded. She is by herself. She has lost pretty much everyone that is there in her life. So she is also lost, and she has to handle that. She has to grip with that. Even towards the end of the movie, when she actually delivers the baby, she has to deal with the fact that she now has a kid. She is not lost anymore. She has someone. So we see the effect that how loss does to someone. That when you lose everyone, you feel so isolated. You feel that you're not good enough. You don't feel that you're good enough to take care of literally the thing that you've grown inside of you for months. You feel so ashamed. Again, this connects back to the previous theme that I said, the individual and society. But also loss. Like, she has been left by everyone. There's no one to help her with this baby. So she feels isolated. She feels punished because of the loss she's experienced. Same thing with like Ebla. She feels punished as well. She feels like she doesn't deserve joy or happiness because of the loss she's experienced. So it's interesting how this theme, you could apply it to both characters and takes on different forms. It's not very apparent for Samia, but I think it's there. Another theme I would say, is there another theme? Another theme I would, maybe a minor theme connected to the first one I said, is that society is very harsh. Like, whenever people commit certain mistakes or when they just live their lives, there will always be bad actors there to judge you. We see this with Samia. There's always people judging her, always talking about her, and no matter how hard she tries, she's not going to be able to run away from the things that she's caused. So this theme is more of, you have to adapt to your circumstances. Whatever you've gone through, whatever you've committed, you have to stand up and hold your head high, and you cannot just back down. Samia does back down. She feels scared. She doesn't want to go outside anymore because people are literally calling her out in public on the streets. So it's not really developed, but I would say a theme is you need to handle that adversity. You need to push forward. She does push forward. She just doesn't really come to grips with it. I mean, she kind of does. I'm lying. She eventually does accept having a baby, and I'm guessing that she's going to, we don't see it in the movie, but she's going to move on with her life and handle this baby and take care of them and just handle the position that she has within society. Even though she had a baby out of wedlock, she's going to push forward and give a life for this child and live in the society that she lives in successfully. What message do you think the film was trying to communicate? Overall message, I kind of went over themes. Overall message, I think, would be that we all carry our demons. Samia has her demons. Ebla has her demons. All of us have our own struggles with what we face. The mistakes that we made in the past. The mistakes that other people made in the past. We all have to come to grips and realize that we are not perfect and we have to move on with our lives. Is that whatever challenges are present in the society that we live in, those are there to make us stronger. Those are there to serve as obstacles that we must get through. So I think that's the main thing of the movie, because we see this with Samia with her pregnancy. We see this, the thing is interesting, we see this message with Samia's pregnancy, with the literal pregnancy itself being hard, and the society judging her pregnancy. With Ebla, we see this navigating her husband's death. Not only the fact that he died, but also the fact that now she has to run a business and take care of her kid all by herself, and she's a widow, and widows in society are not, it's kind of hard in those traditional societies in the Arab world for a widow to really make it out there by herself without another man or without the support of her family. So it's sort of double-edged in how this theme applies to these characters. It's the literal incidents that happen, but it's also how the society, how they play a part and a role in the society that they're a part of. So it's very interesting that the demons that we all carry affect us on societal terms and on personal terms. So I think that's the message that it's trying to communicate. We must contend with our demons, and we must adapt in order to live and continue marching forward. What did you learn about Moroccan society, culture, daily life from the movie? I mean, it's the same like as in Arab countries. It's conservative, it's judgmental, it's harsh. Whatever mistakes you do, especially taboos that you cross, norms that you violate, you will be judged. You will be pestered on the streets. I mean, for the most part, the men didn't really say much, but the women were the judgmental ones. The men are sort of respectful. I mean, that's not always in every. I wouldn't expect this in normal society. Like, I would also expect the men to be disrespectful, especially like in the Arab societies that I know of. But like the woman, it's interesting how the woman, like you would expect that. Like, women are judgmental. If a man commits something, men will judge him. If a woman commits something, women will judge them. It's really like a gender thing. Like, whoever the members of your gender will have more of an attachment to you, and they'll be more credible to judge you, I guess. So it's just very interesting. Like, society, it's harsh, it's tough. It's also just tough in general, like, to find work and make a living out of yourself. Not even just like like crossing taboos and violating norms. It's just very hard to live in that society because it's not a first world country like France or America, right? So Morocco is a tough country to live in. And also, it does bring some positivity because, especially with Slimani, like, there is positive to it. There is for sure respectful men out there who are respectful, and they, it's also very communal, like, in that sense. Like, the men I saw in the movie, the ones, getting donations, and the ones, giving their blessings to the ladies, like, there is warm parts to the society. It's not just all negativity and judgment and harsh. There is positive, there is respect. It does exist to an extent. So there is sort of that positivity in the society. Obviously, it's Islamic, affected by Islam. Everyone's recovering and everyone's wearing hijab. Everyone's covered up and modest and respectful for the most part. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the things I learned, I would say. How does the film reflect Moroccan society? For the reflection part. I kind of said this before, but I got the sort of idea that it's harsh, it's judgmental, it's tough when you violate norms. It's not as open as America, for example, or the West. So it's very different. It's very modeled on Islamic principles. That's what makes it very different from like Western society, which is modeled on not Christian principles but Western values, modern day values. So it's very different. Again, like I brought up the example, like if you got pregnant out of wedlock in America, you're not really seen as violating the norms. No one cares as much as in Morocco, where it's a huge thing. It's like the worst thing you could do. So it's very different. I mean, I know that's very simple to say, but I kind of said everything before that kind of supports why I think that. What specific social issues are presented in the film? I mean, lots of issues related to family. Like, family loyalty comes with a price. It's not unconditional. You have to be good. You have to be on your best behavior. If you cross the lines, if you break the norms, they're gonna leave you in the dirt, which is very interesting. I did not know that really about like I wouldn't think that of that happening to me, but it does happen to people. It's very realistic. This can happen to you. Family can break ties with you if you displease them. Even with other social issues, poverty is a huge problem. Obviously, like this woman is pregnant and this woman's pregnant and her family won't even support her. Like, sending a pregnant woman on the streets is crazy. Like, that is insane, and that just shows like poverty. Like, people will hold on to dogmatic values more than just like having mutual respect for other people, which is crazy. Like, if no one, like, honestly, like, I would think a well-ordered and thinking person, a normal person, wouldn't just send their daughter out in the streets if they got pregnant out of wedlock. There would be understanding, there would be words, there would be communication, and you'd have to take care of them because that's another human growing inside of the person that you raised. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me that poverty you can just go into poverty straight away like that. Poverty is just a casual thing in the society. And family just comes with a price, again, as I said. Gender as well. Like, if this was a man doing this in the Moroccan society, it's interesting because we don't hear about what happened to the other guy that obviously did the action with Samia. We can assume that he probably wasn't punished. Maybe he just didn't tell his parents. The thing is, what's very interesting is that when women go through copulation out of wedlock, you can see it very apparently. With men, you can't. You don't know because it's not physical. It's not outward. So that's the plus that's the pro that men get, especially with these types of situations, is that they're not going to get ostracized because no one's ever going to really know unless they tell it or their partner says it. With the women, it's very interesting because we see the start of the movie. Sammy is probably kicked out of her house when she gets the bump, when the bump forms. She probably didn't tell her parents, but when the bump eventually comes, there's only so much you can do. You can't make an excuse anymore. They're gonna know and they're gonna ask questions. So it's very interesting how society, we look at women, we see the bump, we raise questions, but with men, we don't know. We honestly don't know. So it's a very interesting theme that's presented in a social issue in the movie that we could see and sort of extrapolate, what was going on with the other person in the relationship. And again, tradition, yeah, it's related to the family theme that I said before. People will hold on tradition more than common sense. Does the film focus on specific village, city, or social group in Morocco? I honestly, I don't think this film is more, like, it's not really about class consciousness and, like, what social class you're a part of, in my opinion. It's more of what I said before about, like, taboo and crossing that threshold. It's focusing on, I'm assuming, Casablanca, like a city landscape. Sammy's from a village, we know that. The setting is important in the story because we need to have a big city in order for Sammy to be poor. If it was a village, it's less likely because villages are more tight-knit, close-knit, more supportive of one another. A city is more, away, isolated, harsh, harder to live in. So we need the city landscape in order to see how hard it is for Samuel to live life in Morocco and how sort of, like, selfish everyone is. So yeah, that's kind of like a very important factor in the story that kind of really causes Ebla to take pity on her, because if it wasn't a city, Ebla wouldn't have been able to see a pregnant woman, see Samia, a pregnant woman, sleeping on the streets and feel pity for her. So it actually is very important that this film did take place in a city, in a large city, because, again, what's the likelihood that Ebla would have seen that? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I would have to say about that question in particular. But yeah, that's everything, and thank you very much.